You know, here's what I want to throw at you now. Where's home for you? Like, where you from originally? Choctaw?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you just told me you went to high school at Mount St. Mary.
I went to Mount St. Mary. Yeah.
Okay. So how did that happen? In you, as opposed to you going to Choctaw, man? How did you break that down?
I just had gone to Catholic school my whole life. That's just part of my family.
Got you.
Church, and so that's where I was. I could have gone to Choctaw. I went and visited it, but I had been so used to going smaller, and I just felt like staying in that small school was right for me.
Man, I dig it. Yeah. I really do. And like from my perspective as a learner, when I was a student, like, man, I just felt so out of place in big classes, because I was like, man, I need that individualized attention for real.
Yeah, this year, even with COVID, I had my first like big lecture hall class, and that was so weird, because it's like I can't go up and talk to the teacher, ask a question like without 50 other people looking at me, and it's like,
listen, I don't care what anybody
says. I'll send an
says.
email after class. But.
Exactly. Like, listen, I know teachers say all the time, there's no such thing as a bad question. I'm like, well, listen, you can say that all you want to. I'm not raising my hand in here, you know? All right, so I'm guessing you played ball at Mount St. Mary, right?
Mm-hmm. Baseball and basketball.
Baseball and basketball. And you just mentioned a name to me, Evan Alexander, better known as Ice, who's a alumni of the podcast, He was one of your coaches during your time there.
Yeah.
How was your athletic experience throughout high school? And the reason I asked that is because you just told me that you're 18 years old, so you're not that far removed from high school.
Yeah.
So break it down for me. How was that?
It was good. I had a lot of fun.
Right.
Playing. I mean, especially playing for people that are invested in you more than just for how you play.
Right.
Baseball was my main sport. Baseball was a sport I was really good at, but basketball was a sport I loved. So like as much as I could, I'd go into the gym before school and shoot around, get the machine going, but I knew like basketball wasn't going to be a sport that could take me to college or something like that. But baseball, I loved every second of it. I pitched and played some outfield, but I loved it. That was my best sport. I had a couple college offers, but I knew I wasn't going to one day get paid to play baseball. And I just wanted to really, really chase the chance to do what I do in the video side and photo side, which is what I fell in love with doing.
Now, let me ask you this. Did you work as hard, as diligently at baseball when it wasn't mandatory like you did basketball?
No, I was definitely in the gym more than I was practicing baseball.
Right.
Baseball was just something that came more natural than basketball. But I was definitely working a lot harder for basketball.
I got you. Now that you are in college, you've got basically 1 year under your belt, because you got a few more months left to go before it's over with, right?
Yeah.
Before this first year is over with.
Yeah.
Has it been a big adjustment, going from, mom and dad's house, I'm guessing, as a high school kid, to now you're pretty much at your own discretion, man? How's that been like?
Yeah. It's been good. My parents raised me really well, and I'm grateful for everything that they did for me. But I would say I've definitely been able to take another step in my freedom and go out and really have to make sure I'm doing my schoolwork, make sure I'm getting stuff done, and still keeping myself accountable for all that stuff. So it's been fun to get away and kind of really explore on my own. But there definitely is missing the comfort of being at home and not having to worry about, okay, what am I going to eat for dinner and that stuff. I would come home from baseball practice and dinner would be there. Now it's like, okay, I just got out of class. What am I going to go do? So
I got to hustle a little bit.
Yeah.
Good deal. Do you find yourself going home more often? Are you home frequently, or are you on the go doing other things?
Usually I'll go home if I come back to the city for a job or something that I'm doing. But working with the newspaper, the OSU student newspaper. Okay.
Didn't know
they keep me busy. Yeah, that's my main job right now.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Now, is that something that you actively pursued, or did it just find you?
So I wanted to work for the school. I wanted to work and be in the locker room and be filming and doing that. But they already had like 5 seniors working for the school. And so it just wasn't going to work out. And I was young. And even though I could see myself, like, see my work and was like, I feel like I could compete like with the level of work that they're doing. I totally understand. And they did their time with the school. So they deserve to work for them.
That's an interesting point. Is it competitive in that space?
Oh, very.
Okay. All right. So
competitive in a good way, though. Like,
true.
Nobody should be. If it gets to the point where you're getting upset over it, that's a problem. Like, but like if I see like some of these guys from OKC, like Nav Visuals, he's a guy. Like, he did a photo shoot with who was it? Diallo before he was traded.
Got you.
And I saw those photos and I was like, I need to step it up. You feel that, and it's like I just love. I love that kind of competition, but it's always like, I'll ask him questions, and if he sees a video and is like, yo, how did you do that? Like, we're always building off each other. There's no hiding anything.
I love that, man. I really do, because I think there's enough. Obviously, you're more knowledgeable in the photography and videography space than me, but I just think that there's enough out there for everybody to get what they want, for everybody to eat.
Definitely.
And it's like, for you guys to sort of put your pride aside and respect the fact that you're good at what you do, he's good at what he does.
For sure.
But we can communicate and, bounce some ideas off each other. That's great. Now, has it ever been rough for you to remain original? When it comes to your own style, putting your own signature in your photos or your own signature sauce, for lack of a better term, on your videos. Is that ever difficult with everything being so different, but in a sense the same?
Yeah, it's like there's only a kind of way you can film basketball in a creative way. So there's definitely been times when people thought that I might be copying someone or something, but I'm like, I'm just going out there filming basketball and then doing my best to honestly showcase the kid. Like, I know there's a lot of people that get really creative and use a ton of effects, and that's what they like to do. But me, I want to capture it, make sure it's all in focus and everything, and then make the colors look really nice and sharp. And I don't go over the top with effects or anything usually. I might do it in like an intro to catch people's attention. But no, I just want to showcase the kid's game. Because I wrote for Prep Hoops with Bryce
McKinnis,
my senior year of high school. And that really showed me like there's so much more than just being like able to score that makes you a good basketball player. And I got to learn all that stuff under Bryce. And so now whenever I'm filming, I see the little things that I wouldn't have ever noticed if I just wanted to take photos or video, but actually see some little things that make them why they're a good basketball player. And I want to showcase that too.
Now, when you say folks have, I guess you could say, accused you of like sort of jacking somebody else's style, that had to have come third party. Has anybody ever just brought that directly to you? Like, hey man, you're copying. Hey man, you're doing this, that, and the third.
There's definitely been some Instagram and Twitter. Nobody's ever said it to my face.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes.
But like that's how it goes. And I get it. Like, there's people that were doing it before me. And like, I've respect for all the people, like every single person out here. Like Johnny from Tulsa, he's the first guy I ever talked to in the video stuff. And actually the reason why we ended up talking was before I had a camera, I would just edit videos and like download them off of YouTube and edit. And so I was like, I wanted to make a Bryce Thompson video. And so I just searched up Bryce Thompson highlights on YouTube, and I didn't know who he was. I just was like, oh, this is a clip of Bryce. And I downloaded one of Johnny's videos, edited it, and posted it. And then I got a phone call the next morning, and he was like, yo, why are you stealing my stuff? And I was like, oh, shoot. I thought this was like just some more popular thing, or like a Courtside Films or something like that. But it was a local guy, and that was how we first started talking. But now, like, I'll call him once or twice a week and really just talk to him about improving and what I'm doing, and he'll talk to me about what he's got going on. And now it's a funny way to start a relationship.
Yeah, that's why I'm over here. That's why I'm over here smiling. Like, wow, you guys built a relationship almost by mistake.
Yeah, no, it was totally a mistake, and I've had to learn. I've definitely had to mature in that, where I would just download videos off YouTube and edit them and do stuff. But the more I have to look into the copyright stuff and all that, like the legal stuff, I hadn't had to do that for a while, but now I'm really having to do that. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff behind that, and I needed to learn how to respect it for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I respect the fact that you went and did your own homework before you had to get totally bitten in the butt, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, take me back to what you do now, what you say your main job is now as a sports writer for the newspaper?
I'm the photo editor.
Photo editor
Yeah.
for the newspaper
So
at OSU, right?
yeah.
Break that down to me, man. What all does that entail? What's a regular day for you on the job look like? And I say job tentatively because, you're a student at the same time, and I know you're doing what you love. So if you love it, it ain't a job, they say.
For sure. Really, because of this semester, I only have one in-person class this
Right.
entire semester. So I'll wake up in the morning around 9. At the beginning of the school year, I got blackout curtains for my window, but then I would sleep until like 11, and I was like, I can't do this. So I took them off, and so I let the sun wake me up.
There you go.
And that's been good, actually. I've enjoyed that. But starts my day off early, and I'll get up and go get something to eat in the student union. And the student union's right next to the journalism building where our newsroom is for the paper. And so I'll go there, get something to eat, go into the newsroom, and we basically, all the editors, so there's editor-in-chief, and then there's digital editor, photo editor, and then news, sports, and lifestyle editors.
Man.
So
Covering a lot
yeah,
of
there's
ground.
like 6 of us that are kind of in charge of getting stuff done, and then there's all the writers and the photographers and all that. So I'm in charge of assigning photographers to different things. So it's definitely been interesting for me. I'm not always the one shooting it now.
Sure.
And that's been different. And I love shooting stuff. Like I'll take jobs whenever I can or I want to that stand out to me. So like we just opened a brand new baseball stadium. So the first game's there. I did that job instead of assigning it to someone. But yeah, like usually assign it. That's what I'm doing. I'm communicating with writers about their stories and then finding out, okay, so if they're writing a story about an event that's happening at the library, I got to send a photographer to the library to make a photo gallery for it. So then I do that, and every Thursday is the day that we make our paper version of the paper. We have a digital edition every single day. But so Thursday we're in there late working and editing, and
That's the grind day, huh?
Yeah, that's the day that I'll be in there all day long. And I love it though. The people there are amazing. I love all of them. And I mean, they're just fun to hang out with, and really we're each helping each other do what we love to do and hopefully get to do one day full time.
Heck yeah, man. That sounds like a band of brothers, or a community rather.
Yeah.
Is it random selection when it comes down to you making the determination on who you're gonna send where, and when it's photo time, or is there some sort of method that you follow when it comes? Okay, I'm gonna send you here, you here. How's that work?
That's good, because that's how it always used to be. My first semester, when I was just a photographer for the paper and didn't have the bigger job, we would just get a message in our like Slack group saying, these are the photo assignments, text me back if you want it, first come, first serve. So it was like first person. And so it's like, if you're paying attention and everything, you can get that. But I do it differently. I, at the beginning of the semester, sat down with all the photographers and was like, what do you love to do? Like, what makes you want to get up and do it? So there were some people that were like, I love shooting sports. And then there's other people that are like, I want to go chase the story that's happening. So like if the police are somewhere, I want to get like the call right then and be like, okay, go get it. And it's like different people love to shoot different things. And I don't just want to make it first come, first serve, because I feel like everybody needs to get paid and get their money too, instead of it just being the people who happen to see it on their phone first.
Yeah.
So I like assigning stuff. We did a photo shoot with Jaden Bray. He's committed. Well, now he's an early enrollee up there, and it was his first day on campus. And I just texted him. I was like, "Hey, could we do a photo shoot?" And he was down. So I have a photographer that is really good at portraits and stuff like that. So I hit him up and was like, "Hey, can we meet here?" And we did, and it was awesome. And I knew I just like letting people do what they love to do.
Absolutely.
So, because it makes them happy, and it doesn't feel like work whenever you're doing what you love to do.
Bingo. It's you hit the nail right on the head. I can't say it any better than that. Now, on a personal level, do you have or have you found any other content outside of sports or outside of basketball specifically that you have taken an interest in when it comes to shooting and when it comes to videography and even writing?
Yeah.
What are some of those?
I did writing with Prep Hoops, but I haven't really written with the newspaper. I've been primarily just doing photos and stuff. But
right.
I'll go shoot, like, if every month there's a new art gallery brought into to OSU, and so I'll go like shoot that, and yeah, it's really cool. And you have to get creative because there's only a couple ways you can shoot stuff like that. And so I've got to like doing that, and then really some more storyline stuff. Last semester, amazing opportunity, got to have a class that we were making a documentary about Greenwood for the 100-year
anniversary, so to speak.
And so I was up there every Friday, and we were putting together a documentary, and I was outside at the memorial shooting like clips there, and just getting along like and talking to people who experienced that, like has like taught me that I want to do story-based stuff. And that's something I really want to get into more. I'd love for it to be within sports, because I love doing that. But
likewise.
any stories that I can find and tell for somebody I'd love doing that.
Yeah, I'm guessing you attack it when you attack those story-based projects like that one. You're going in it trying to get some fat on your brain too, to really learn about it before you get to work. Or has it ever been a situation where it's like, okay, this is available and I know this, so I'm getting ready to just dive in it and take it on over? Has it been one of those?
For the Greenwood thing, I had heard about it, and for that documentary, but once we were there and talking to these people, I learned so much, and I didn't know all about that, and it's made me appreciate how strong that community is up there and everything that they've been through. And it's definitely a place that if I go up to Tulsa, I'm going to go eat on Black Wall Street, on that street there, and support those small businesses. And because that was something like I never knew about. Like I had heard the story, but hearing it from those people really made me feel like it's something that's worth investing in. So if I can tell someone's story and then learn even more about it myself, like it's a win-win, and I think that's awesome.
For sure, man. And the same thing happened to me maybe about a half a year ago. I'm a Tulsa boy, and I live there. I live there now, and there was so many components to, I don't even want to call it a story, but to that era and that experience that I'm still learning about even to this day. And I'm down there at least, if not once a week, probably once every 2 weeks, going and getting some food, man. Go get some Wanda J's soul food.
Amazing.
It's a beautiful thing. Okay, now, the Prep Hoops experience that you had. How did that materialize? Take me through that.
So that was before I had touched a camera for the first time. I hadn't touched a camera like in a way that it's funny because every time I was looking through home videos, like with my family before I went to college, like that last week, we just pulled them all out. And my dad, whenever he'd point the camera at me, I'd always point at him and say, I want to be the person behind the camera, and I want to be pointing it at people, which was really fun. I was like 3 years old, and it's like, I already wanted to be behind the camera then.
You already knew.
But really that started with DM to Matt Reynolds on Twitter, and I was like, hey, I'm writing for Mount St. Mary's. We had just started our student newspaper back up. We had one forever, and I saw it and was like, why aren't we still doing this? Like, this could be really cool. And so we got it going again and doing it. Was
it basically off your inquisition? They got it back.
Well, I saw me and my friend Cole, and we just saw like, we have the fourth floor, which is like haunted at the mountain. Nobody goes up there. It's storage stuff. And they're like, that's where the nuns used to live. And that's what it was all
It's got a legend behind it.
Yeah. And we went up there doing work grant for like tuition assistant stuff in the summers. And we went up there and we're sorting stuff. And there were these newspapers, and they were all the launch pad, because we were the Rockets at Mount St. Mary's. And it was the launch pad. And it was like, why aren't we still doing this? So we brought one down and went to our like media professor or media teacher, and we're like, we need to get this going again. And there was a journalism class that you could take, and the semester had just started, and so we kind of turned that class into the student newspaper class again. So everybody in that class built it back up, and so that started with that, and I started writing for the student newspaper there, and I loved it, but I also just loved everything about high school basketball in Oklahoma. And I had gone, like, I'd go watch AAU tournaments in the summers, so I'd know who the guys were, and I knew, like, Rondell, I had watched him since I was a freshman in high school. I didn't know him, but I'd go to PC West for every big game because I thought he could play. And
still can play.
He's still, and it's been awesome to see him up there at OSU doing what he's doing. But so I wanted to get to cover all of it and not just my school, which we had a really good team. We made it to state that year anyway, but like, I just wanted to get to see it all. So I sent Matt Reynolds a DM on Twitter. He was running Prep Hoops at the time for Oklahoma, and was like, hey, is there anything internship wise or anything that I could do to help with Prep Hoops and really get to know more about the high school basketball scene in Oklahoma? And he was like, actually, we were looking for someone to run our Twitter account. And so for
ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. Like, out of nowhere, he had no idea who I was. I didn't know who I was.
Right. You're just swinging in the dark.
I was just looking for an opportunity. And so I started running their Twitter page and doing, just making like graphics about all the big games from each night, and just keeping final score updates and all that going, and posting the articles that the writers were writing. And I got to write some articles too. And that was cool. I definitely had to learn a lot more about basketball itself to be a better writer, but it definitely grew me as a person and matured me to be a senior in high school writing about other seniors in high school. I had to get rid of my biases about people and
based on
people
whatever
I liked, and it's like I couldn't go to a Choctaw game every night. Like, I love those guys, and I'd been watching their games for a while, but I couldn't just go to their game and write about them every night, because Prep Hoops is really big about recruiting, and college coaches read that. So if I'm writing about a kid every night, college coaches might get a different idea of how good he is. And so I had to learn how to balance that out. But that's how Prep Hoops started.
Man, and it's really intriguing for me to listen to that, because you were juggling a lot, evidently, because you're obviously still in school. Yeah. And you were still an athlete. Yeah. Right? You're playing basketball and baseball. Yeah. And and all of a sudden you're writing. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're covering different high schools throughout the state of Oklahoma, turning and burning. Yeah.
And that's when it changed for me, because we had Kellen McCoy as our head coach my freshman and sophomore year. And he's a much more offensive-oriented coach than Brandon is. Brandon's very defense, be long. I was 5'5". I couldn't play defense. I was little. So my minutes started to go down when Brandon came in. Not his fault. That's his style of basketball. And so I stopped making the varsity trips. Right. And so at that time, but those were my guys. I was with them freshman and sophomore year playing, and I didn't just want to not see him anymore. So I asked Brandon, hey, can I go on the bus to these games and on these road trips if I take photos and do video? And I hadn't done photos or video ever. Wow. And so that was
your trial run.
Yeah, that was for the Hera tournament. And that was the first time I had ever done video. And so he said, yeah, sounds good. And I borrowed my school's camera, went down there. That night, Sicko Mode dropped, and everybody wanted me to use that song. So I looked up YouTube tutorials, and I was like, all right, here we go. And I filmed the game and made a video, and I still have it saved somewhere on my computer, but it wasn't very good. We played really well. We ended up I think we got second in that tournament. That was 2019 or 18. But yeah, no, that was how it started. And everybody on the team loved it because no one was doing it. Looking back now, it's like, man, that was bad. But
yeah, you came a long way from there.
Yeah, for sure. And
I would say you had a little bit of a cheat code. What was that last part?
That's how I started to fall in love with it.
Yeah, man. And what I was actually getting ready to speak exactly to that point. I think a lot of youngsters don't necessarily have it worked out in terms of what they really want to do, which is not the worst thing. I mean, hey, you got time to figure it out.
Being open, that's
being open.
huge.
But I do think, once you get that quote unquote destination established in your mind, and every move that you make from that point on is not random. It serves a purpose. And so you were sort of ahead of the pack in that regard. So it sounds. And what's really impressive is you were able to like swallow your ego, because all of a sudden you sort of took a demotion, it sounds like, as far as your plan goes, right?
Yeah.
And you didn't let fear stop you, right? Was there any skepticism at all? But like, okay, I'm getting ready to take this trip. I'm getting ready to do something for the first time that I've never done. I'm interested in it, but I don't know if I'm any good at it.
Yeah.
Let me roll the dice. Were you tight about it at all?
I was honestly, I had no clue how it would go. I just knew I really wanted to be around those guys and be in the locker room and share those moments. And it was like, well, if I can share those moments with them, but also like capture them, so they'll keep them. I was like, sounds perfect and sounds like something I'd love to do. So I did it. And after that first video, I was like, it wasn't bad. Like, it was good for a first video, in my opinion. And I had been editing videos before, like I said, but I had never shot it. So I could edit pretty well, but I was like, I could do something with this. And so I just kept shooting and went to that PCI tournament with,
which is a damn good one every year.
My senior year then. After that, or no, that was still my junior year. And that was like, Trey was a sophomore and Rondell was a junior. And that was the first time I had ever like shot another school and done video there. And of course, not many people at that point were doing that kind of stuff. The media stuff in OKC's blown up over the past like year and a half. So like, I showed up there and took photos and sent them to Trey on Instagram and Rondell, and they saw them and reposted them. And I was like, hey, I mean, if they like what I'm doing, they're really good. If they like what I'm doing, maybe I could, if I could make this something else. And so that year we made it to state, or we made it to area, and it was really cool. And I've made a video for the area championship game, and that was the first time that I was like, wow, I really love to do this, because we had won the game to go to area, and area was out in the middle of nowhere. Like, I can't remember where it was, but we had to be back at the school on the bus at 9 the next day. And that was like, I had been doing the video stuff for the team like for 2 months. And so I was like, okay, well, I need to make like a hype up video for the championship game. I didn't have my own computer at home to edit stuff. I didn't have that. So I showed up to the school. My dad worked at the school, so he had a key and could get in. I showed up at the school at 6 the next morning to make a video. And I was sitting there and I was editing it, and it just came out perfect. And I got on the bus and I posted it on Twitter to our like student newspaper Twitter account that everybody had followed. And that was the best video I had done by far. And it surprised so many people, and seeing how much, and that was the first day people were like, you can do this. Like, this is something you could do. And that, from that day on, like, I just wanted to do it even better, and just wanted to learn and do stuff even more.
When you went to the PCI, did you run into any friction as far as I guess the site supervisors and administrators being down and all in it, as if you really got your credentials as a media guy? Because some venues are real sensitive about that kind of thing.
I don't think it was. I think at that time parents were taking photos, and so I was just another guy with a camera there.
Was loose.
It definitely has got more strict here in Oklahoma. especially in like playoff time and everything. But that's a whole nother thing.
It's a whole different deal.
But
sounds like you picked up a hell of a lot of traction though, just in a year's time.
It was just because I would go to a game every night. Mm-hmm. I told myself Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, there's a game going on, and then there's a tournament somewhere over the weekend. And that was when I bought a camera right before. What was it right before? Oh, right before the summer. Right before the summer, going into my senior year of high school.
That would have been 2019 summer?
Or wait, was it? No, it was October of 2019. October of 2019 is when I got it. And
the camera's all over with now.
Yeah. Oh, it was, I was shooting something big and was like, I mean, big for my standards then.
Hey, man,
like
listen.
it was, I can't
don't
even remember what it was now.
Right.
But I was like, this is when I need the upgrade to go take pictures. Mm-hmm. And I had been borrowing my school's camera, and they would let me check it out at night to go to the high school games and shoot stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna invest in one for myself. Mm-hmm. And it was for the Tournament of Champions.
There you go.
It was Tournament of Champions, and Prep Hoops had saw my videos, and they were like, we want you to go cover this. And so I did that, got the camera, and that was Tournament of Champions is before they gave the All-American jersey, right? I'm pretty sure. I think they announced All-Americans after Christmas, but yeah, so I did Tournament of Champions, and I did a video of every game, and we started a Prep Hoops OK Instagram that day. By the end of Tournament of Champions, it had 3,000 followers. Because we were putting out a video for every game, every single one. And, I mean, we tagged the players, and it was just me and Bryce up in Tulsa with the hotel room.
Making it happen.
We were just grinding, yeah. We were young, and, I mean, we are young. we were just wanting to get it. We wanted to go get it, and we worked really hard. And that was the first time that once I had that new camera, I was like, this can, like, I felt like my stuff was good for the first time then.
Right.
Like competing not just on an Oklahoma level, but like with people I followed on Instagram that do it nationally, and we're filming like Jalen Green in high school. It's like, if I was in his position in that state, I feel like I could do better.
There you go.
And that was whenever that started to change in my mind, that I was like, okay, now I want to go from doing what I love to do and having fun with it to still having fun with it, but like I want to learn like the technical stuff so I can really be good at it and not just set my camera the auto mode and film it and then know what I'm doing when I'm editing. So that's whenever I started learning really all about the cameras, and and then from there.
Listen, I heard somebody say a couple of days, and I'm gonna ask you this. I'd love to hear your input. They said, I don't want to do this, whatever, which is similar to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to do this as my full-time job, because then it becomes a job. How do you feel about it? Do you think once you sort of dump all the eggs, say, into this basket, this is what I love, this is what I'm into, do you think you can still keep it fresh to where you enjoy it and you love it and it doesn't become just work?
I think so.
Okay, good.
And yeah, there's a lot going on right now with what I'm doing and opportunities for this summer and potentially just full time that are rising. And I don't think it's something, because I can make it creative.
Yeah.
And if I'm telling a different story with each video and I'm telling something different, like I don't think I'll get tired of it, because the getting tired of it would mean I'd have to get bored of people. And I don't think I'm going to get bored of people.
Yeah, I'm a people person. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I love just hanging out, and like after this, I got to get back to Stillwater for tomorrow. But I'm going to go hang out with the guys and watch basketball.
That's
and
right.
Just keep doing, like, investing my time. Those are the newspaper people. Like I've gotten to work with them, and usually you'd be sick of the people that you're working with, but our job is putting a newspaper together, and nobody's really, I mean, we're all just really close, and so we'll do that and then go get something to eat after and go hang out.
Yeah. But wake up tomorrow, do it all over again.
Exactly. And I mean, I love it. I don't exactly love the newspaper style of the photos because those just have to be pretty basic, and you can't get creative with them usually. You need a picture of each person. So
I got you.
Whoever you're going to write the story about, that's who you need the photo of. But yeah, like that's part of the reason why I don't know what I'm going to do after this school year.
Gotcha.
Really.
I got you. But let me ask you this. From an interaction standpoint, there are some people, particularly kids in this case, the student athletes, who want to just keep their heads down and do what they do, which is play ball. They're not necessarily fond of being in front of the camera or having to have the one-on-ones. Yeah. And you can see the discomfort on them sometimes. With you being a media guy, being relatively dominant, I'm going to say it, in this space, do you say that makes it a little easier for you to build some relationships with some of your subjects, or more difficult?
I think for me, it kind of makes it easier.
Okay.
Because if you invest in them as a person before them as a basketball player, and you don't just come to them and say, hey, I want to shoot a workout for you.
Right.
And if your message to them instead of that is, hey man, hope you're doing good. I've seen how great you've been in this sport or whatever this year. I'd love to talk to you and see if it's something that you'd want to really put out there and showcase yourself. Yeah. And rather than just making it do this so I can use you, it's I want to invest in you, right, so you can grow. And that's the mentality I've taken with it. And the people who keep their head down, the Rondell wasn't ever a big social media guy. He's a big people person, like you're saying. And he had the media news people coming out to his games at PC West, but he wasn't always wanted to talk to him every time. He just played his game and went back to the locker room and was ready for the next day. And those are the kind of people that I like, because once you can really get close with them, then they're really open and they know that you're in it for more than just the views that they can give you. Right.
Yeah. I think familiarity helps too. Definitely. It's like, hey man, I know this guy. I'm comfortable with this guy. We're going to make this thing happen.
For sure.
And you actually spoke something to me, because we've been at this podcast for a couple of years now. I think as far back as 2017, right? Mm-hmm. And I've had a few people decline. And when I say decline, it never was a no thanks. It was just like I'm gonna ignore that, or I'm gonna leave this message on red, which is fine by me, but I'm always, trying to make it my fault. I'm like, okay, well maybe I came to him in a way that wasn't so genuine, or maybe I didn't come across as genuine as I wanted to. Maybe it was something that they took offense to, but I like your approach right there, man.
Well, I think also sometimes instead of thinking it as they didn't want to hear it, it's, well, they're missing out now. Like they don't have the platform. I've definitely had to do that. And there's players that I've reached out to that didn't want to do anything, whether it be just because they didn't feel like it or they had somebody else they wanted to. It's not like, oh, wow, you're picking somebody else. It's, okay, so I need to step my game up and make it to where they want to come to me rather than me going to them. And so that's kind of been my mentality, is like I had always gone to people instead of, because I didn't have the platform yet. Right. And now I can slowly see it turning where people are coming to me for stuff.
That was my next question, man. Yeah. Beautiful thing. Is that gratifying at all?
It is, but it's also like, I got to keep my head down and keep going.
I understand.
There's people want content. People are going to look for that. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's humbling to see that people want it from me now. And that's awesome. And I'm super glad, because I mean, I feel like if I do something for somebody, I'm gonna give it 100%. I'm not going to be
to.
like, oh, this guy's not ranked, so I'm not gonna make him the best. Like my friend Ian from high school, he was in here, and I just made a video for him. But it's not like, oh, you're gonna play at a NAIA school next year, so I'm not gonna go as hard as I can. No, I'm gonna, every single person, I don't care who you are, if you're investing in me, I'm gonna invest back in you. So
that's the way it should go, man. And everything else tends to work out when you approach it that way.
Yeah.
Now, JRC Media.
Yeah.
Obviously your brainchild, right? Yeah. That was your baby, or is your baby.
Yeah.
How did that come about? You know, how did you come up with the concept? And just take me through. I'm sitting across from you, and I'm looking at you. You got your polo on, got the logo and everything. You got your website. You got your social media page, which is separate from you, the person. So I see you picking up traction and you're taking strides. Tell me about how that all came together and what it looks like now.
Yeah. It really started. So I made a YouTube channel for the like little edits I was making of just like NBA players that I download off YouTube and edit, and started doing that. And then I was like, okay, why not make an Instagram and post them on there too? So I made an Instagram for that. Really embarrassing name. Like, I don't even want to say it, but it had nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do with, like, it was just a random YouTube channel name that I thought would be funny.
Right.
And then Evan, actually, Ice, whenever I was playing basketball, we would do full court one-on-ones, and my nickname turned into Jay Clear Out, because Clear Out. And so that was my nickname because my last name's Cleary. And so we made it that. And so that stuck, and that was my nickname. So then when I started filming, I was like, well, I'm going to change this Instagram page to me. So it was like Jay Clear Out Productions was what it was.
Okay.
And I had like 200 followers. Like nobody knew who I was.
Hey, listen, man, I like that though. I like that, Jay Clear Out.
It was cool. It was cool.
All right. Now, hold
that's
on.
my license plate is Jay Clear Out.
Was Clear Out, we got to make sure that we're talking about it the right way. Now, you clearing out, right? Now, I know that, but you're not the defender that they call it Clear Out on, are you?
No.
Okay, good deal.
I'm calling ISO.
That's what I'm talking about. I love that. Getting to it. Okay.
So I did that, and that was 2019, right? Whenever I picked up a camera, and that early 2019, that first semester or the second semester of my junior year. So I did that, and summer came, and Prep Hoops wanted me to do videos for them in the summer. And so I went and would drive down. I couldn't drive yet. I would drive with Matt down to Dallas and to Wichita for tournaments. And I filmed those and did that. And then I came back, and my friend who was playing basketball in college was like, hey, there's this thing called Skins League. And I know you do photos and video, and there's nobody that's showing up to that right now. Do you want to, that would be cool. And so I was the first media guy at Skins League. Not the first media guy at Skins League, the first media guy that really was there for every game. And me and Chris Skinner, he's the guy who runs the league, got close, and I showed up to every game. And all of a sudden, I'm just there, and Trae Young shows up one night. And Chris is like, yo, we're going to make this video, and it's going to be cool. And this was still Jay Clear Out Productions, 200 followers on Instagram. And I was shaking, using my school's camera. I didn't even have my own camera yet. And so with my tiny little Canon 70D that I was borrowing from my school, and the super plastic 50 millimeter lens, I couldn't even zoom.
Using what you got.
I made a video and posted it on Instagram and tagged Trae, and he posted it on his story. And that day I went from 200 to 800 followers. And it was that was the first kind of blow up I experienced. And it was with the right audience, I could see my work was doing well. And that was when I really was okay, I feel like I do good work and my editing is good, but my camera that I'm using is holding me back, and I need a better camera. And so that's when I started talking to my parents and making a plan for how to budget out and cameras aren't cheap.
No, man.
And I had to make a budget.
We went through it, man.
Yeah. And I bought a Sony a7 III and loved that camera. Had it for over a year and like a year and a half, and just sold it and upgraded over Christmas break. And that was hard because that was my camera. That was like what started everything.
Now, when you upgraded, was this something that you just felt was necessary, and then you just said, you know what, I got to go ahead, it's time, or was it getting defective on you?
No, it was totally effective. It was working. It was a good camera, but I wanted to invest and really keep pushing video. Like, I love taking photos. I did photos before video, like that first time. But I really love photos. You can tell a story, but in video you can use audio and motion, and you can't really do that in photos. So I wanted to tell stories, and I felt like I could do that with a camera that's better for video. So the A7S III, which is the video camera version of the A7 III, came out, the Sony, and like all the specs on it were like perfect, and I was like, man, this is nice. And so again, I sat down with my parents and I was like, I want to take it to the next level. And I was sitting at like, that was after I had worked with Buddy for the fall, and my audience grew even more with Buddy Hield. And I was like, I think I can really upgrade this time and ride with this camera for a good couple of years. Right. And I talked to my parents and sold my old camera to 405 Graphics. Yeah, that guy. I'm familiar. And he does Buddy Bucket's social media, and they needed someone to do photos, and he was like, hey, they want me to do social media and photos. And I was like, well, I'm selling this camera. Do you want it? And so now he's got my old camera, and it's not even an old camera. It's an awesome camera. Yeah. And I saw like he was going to all the high school games and catching those guys, and it was awesome to see. It's like my camera's still going and good work.
Still alive, baby.
Still alive, yeah. And I bought the new camera, and hopefully, I feel like you can tell the video quality on it is even better than it was before. But that's just me. I've kind of geeked out on the technical side of it now, and really wanted to like make sure everything is perfect and as crisp as possible. So no, I upgraded there, and that's where I am now, camera wise.
Man, listen. You definitely are a driven guy. Now, it sounds like you've got pretty supportive parents. Would you say so?
Yeah,
because you're really investing in yourself. Man, talk about their influence on you, and as far as putting that battery in your back to have that get up and go get it attitude that you seem to have.
Yeah, my dad is very much if you put your mind to it and you trust God, anything's possible. And so that's been instilled in me. And my mom is the more reasonable, like, all right, what's your backup plan? Like, what's this? Like, what happens if this falls through? And it's like, so my mom and my dad kind of are opposite in that way, where my dad just like, believe in yourself and go for it. Right. And my mom's like, okay, we need to talk about this.
Yeah. Let's look at this.
So it's a good balance, and it's created like, because at some point I had to take a risk. I had to invest in myself. Right. And really that's what it came down to with my parents. And I talked to them and was like, I got to invest in myself and take a risk. I know eventually I'll be able to make the money back of buying the camera with the work that I do. And so I feel like it's worth it. And I sat down and we broke it down and was like, okay, so this is how many videos I'll have to make for people to earn the amount of money I spent on the camera back. And I was like, I can definitely do that. Right. And so I did that, and then it got to the point where my work was taking my work to another level, that I was getting interest from higher level dudes who could pay more, and so I paid off my camera a lot quicker than I thought I would. Right. And that was kind of how that started, and how I was able to get the new camera now too, and kind of just all swirling in my head right now too about what I'm going to do next year. So
I got you. Now, when it comes to pricing and things like that, without revealing all your details, but is it a situation where you sort of scale the market first before you? Okay,
there's a much different price for if a high school kid wants me to come to a game and make a video than if Buddy Hield DMs me and says, "Can you come to Dallas?" There's a lot different stuff there. But yeah, no, and I'm always like, and it's hard because like these are my guys and I want to do stuff, and Oklahoma high school basketball is awesome and very underrated. So I want to showcase it even for guys who aren't paying, but also like I can't just charge close to nothing or else I won't make any money because that'll all go to gas. So
you won't ever pay that camera off.
So I mean, it's definitely been tough transitioning from just always wanting to go to a game and film something to okay, I might not get to go watch the best game that night, but I am getting paid to do it, and I've had to take that business mindset and like I can't like my quality of work I think is really good and I'm proud of it.
Right.
But I can't charge, not like I can't charge what I used to charge. Like that's got to change to the level of work that I do, which is hard to think of. And I feel bad because my price changed on people. Yeah. And so I do a music video for my friend, or he wasn't my friend. I just did a music video for someone that hit me up. And at that time, my rate was lower. And then he hit me up like 2 weeks ago, and it had been like 8 months. Yeah. And I told him my rate then, and he's like, "Oh shoot, why did it change on me?" It's like, well, I got to pay for this new camera, man. I got to.
It's not about
drive.
you.
Yeah, and it's like, I really care about all the people. It's not like I'm just, oh, sorry, man, I can't do it. It's like, I can't change my rate for everybody.
That's
and
right.
just adapt to that. But
as soon as you do it once,
then it will slowly go. Yeah. I've had that happen.
Yeah. Now, are you limited to only basketball, or will you maybe eventually venture off into other sports?
No, I definitely am open to other sports. I think that'll change after this year. I'll definitely get into more stuff. But football, I'm looking for next year, like maybe a team that would want someone for a season, or the same way with AAU this summer. I'm reaching out to a bunch of people all the time, and I have a meeting Tuesday about this summer with the AAU team. And it's like, but also I know like the level of work I do, I want to match up with a team that has a level of talent that if I put my level of work with that level of talent, it's going to explode and make something crazy. So and it's almost a thing where it's like, you not set the bar so high for yourself, but like you send the DMs to the big teams first, and you wait to hear back from them. And then if those teams are just too big, then you go to the next one. So like, you can't be afraid to send a message. The worst thing they can say is no. And all it takes is one of them to say yes.
That's it.
And you're set. And it's like, so that's the mindset I've taken, and I haven't felt like too big or too small to say anything. Like, I sent Cade a text after the first OSU game, or not a text, I didn't have his number, an Instagram DM after the first game, and just was like, here's a link to the photos I took. And I didn't ever expect him to see it. He gets probably 100 messages every day. And he saw it and was like, oh, cool, thanks, man. And since then, like, I'll communicate with him after games and send him the photos I take. And I mean, it's just like a working relationship. I haven't talked to him. I talked to him on like Rondell's birthday. I hung out with Rondell on his birthday. That was a fun time. But like, otherwise, I'm just a camera guy to him, and I don't need to be anything other than a camera guy to him. Right. But yeah, those relationships and not being afraid to send someone a message. That's definitely something that, like, just do it. Just go for it.
That's it, man. Sometimes I know I'm the master.
No.
I'm the master of talking myself out of doing stuff. So you actually just ministered to me right there, brother. I appreciate that. Now, how did the pandemic affect your grind? I would imagine you dealt with some degree of it, right?
Well, March, I was at the Thunder game. I was at the Thunder, and I took photos.
Just as a fan, or were you active?
I was just as a fan, but I snuck my camera in.
Yeah, I love it, man.
I got it in there. And so I took photos like I got there as early as you could to get in the stadium. And I got in and just went as low as they would let me, basically, and was taking photos of Jazz players warming up, Thunder players warming up, them running out of the tunnel, and then starting lineups. Got all the way to starting lineups. I took photos of that. And then whenever the national anthem started, I ran up to my seat at the very top of the top of Loud City. And I'm sitting up there, and then everything happens and it gets canceled. And I'd snap a few photos of everybody like going crazy off on the court, running off. And and that was crazy. And so that night I just went home, edited the photos I took, and posted them that night, like right before I went to bed. And I woke up and my phone was exploded. And I don't know what happened. Like, I just had so many messages from people, and I was like, what happened? And Donovan Mitchell had reposted one of my photos that morning.
Really?
And he had cropped my logo out. Yeah. And so I was mentioned in like 90 comments on Donovan Mitchell's Instagram post, like, this is JRC Media, you can't be doing this.
Yeah, man.
And that was like, that was how the pandemic started for me. And I literally called his agent. Like, I Googled his agent, and I was like, because LeBron got sued like $1.5 million for cropping a guy's logo out.
Oh, it's that real?
You can't do that stuff. And I called them, and I was like, it had been only like half an hour, so not everybody had seen the photo yet. So I was like, either you pay me or you tag me right now. And they're like, okay, we'll tag you. And they made the photo look so bad. They threw one of those like IG filters over it. Man. And it's like, looking at it, it's like, this isn't my photo, man. Like, I don't want people to think this is my photo. But also having the tag on there, like, that's worth it.
So you had to play hardball a little bit strong.
And so that whole morning, I was standing in my backyard. I was at home. It was a Saturday. There was no school. And I was in my backyard on the phone with the agent people for like an hour and a half. And I came inside afterwards. My mom was like, are you okay? And I was like, I was on the phone with Donovan Mitchell's agent. And she was like, what happened? And I told her the whole story. And that was how COVID started for me. And then, so everything shut down. And I had maybe like 750 followers on Instagram at that point. And I was like, is JRC Media even going to be a thing after we get out of this? Am I going to get to do anything? Or
will the buzz be totally gone?
Yeah. And luckily Oklahoma stayed open, ish. Yeah. A little open. And for sure. Skins League still happened.
It did.
That summer. And that was really where I blew up, was Skins League and all the players. I was at every game. Like, I had nowhere else to be, and I was there. And yeah, so since a year ago today, basically a year ago, March 10th, I was at 750 followers, and now I think it's about to be like 3,500 soon. So
moving on,
that's just like working. It's all about just keep grinding and supporting the people who support you. And if you invest somebody who has the same mentality and same level of like grind as you, then you're just both going to grow together.
Man, with you talking to such a big timer like Donovan Mitchell's agent as a youngster, right? Yeah. Even younger than you are now.
It's made me less afraid to talk to people.
Yeah. I mean, how was it going into that? Was it a little like, oh, like, wow, I'm in the big waters with the big fish? Or were you like, nah, I'm me, and you getting ready to hear what I got to say to you?
I was definitely scared as I was on the phone and it was ringing and ringing. But as soon as they picked up the phone, like, I'd gone through in my head, it's like, okay, this is what I'm going to say. And I said it, and they were like, oh, because I had like a very little following on Instagram, and I wasn't that big of a media person. They didn't think I wasn't even a media person at that point.
They didn't think that it would be any issue.
They didn't think there would be anything wrong, and it was just Donovan Mitchell liked the photo and he wanted to post it, and that's what happened. But no, once they picked up, I just was like, hey, this is like my photo, man. Like, you can't do this. And like, LeBron just got sued $1.5 million. I'm 17, I can't sue you, and I can't do that. But I just want some sort of representation of my work. And that definitely led to me not being afraid to talk to people. Like yesterday, I spent all day calling record labels.
Really?
Because I'm working on a project, and I want to build a soundtrack for it, but copyright and everything, you got to go through everything. And
a lot of red
so
tape.
If you want to use a popular artist's music, you got to get clearance from the record label. And those people are rude. If you aren't Disney, if you're not like some big major person,
right,
they're like, who are you, and hang up the phone.
Really?
Yeah. So I called about every major record label I could, and maybe 2 of them were like, okay, we'll get back to you.
Right.
Everybody else just hung up.
Yeah.
I'd say my story and say my thing that I'm putting together, and they were like, okay, we're not interested. And I couldn't even talk to anybody else. And it's like, I know, because in my mind, that just makes me even more like, oh, I'm going to make this so big. Like, and there's so many stories and stuff, like, especially going into this summer where I'll have the free time to really attack those stories and tell them the way I want to tell them, that I know I can do a really good job with it now that I'll have the time. Because right now I'm driving from Stillwater to here to wherever I get hired, and soon I'll have the free time. And it's gonna be awesome when I'll get to really just go all at it.
Even though it seems like you love being busy, though.
I do love being busy.
I love it.
Because I love doing it. So why wouldn't I? If I can stay busy and keep making a living and do something I love, I'll stay busy.
For sure. Now, with you having your own brand, right, and you essentially your own lane that you've carved for yourself, is there any affiliation still with Prep Hoops, or have you all had to part ways now? I'm kind of sad, actually. I really wanted to work and keep shooting this stuff in the summer, but for what they need, the workload is just so crazy. But they pay you well for it too. It's not like you have a crazy workload and barely get paid, but it's like I would have no free time. I would basically be working full time for Prep Hoops all summer, and I wouldn't have time to chase the stories that I want to do. And so, but what was good about it is they asked me who should do it. So I was able to recommend guys here in OKC that do a really good job with stuff. And now they're getting paid to do it. And it's like perfect, like helping them out and just opening me up to other opportunities all at the same time. So definitely, like, if there's a game and Bryce texts me and he's like, hey, I need to just write for this one. Could you shoot this game tonight if you're here in OKC? I'd still do it. Like, relationships, baby.
Yeah, relationships, yeah. Bryce was the first guy I met with writing, like, outside of my school. And so, yeah, Prep Hoops has been amazing to me. So, I just feel like I can give back in little ways like that. So
I like that. Now, here's pretty much my final question. And we sort of laughed a little bit about it before we turned the mics on. When it comes to it, evidently, it's not the easiest thing to do to get that media pass, those credentials, right? To be able to go into any facility, to any one of these games and get that courtside access, right? And if I misspeak, please set the record straight for me. But you, JRC Media, how's it been for you? Have you gotten to that bridge yet to cross it?
Well, so I got credentialed for how the OSSA does high school sports is they give a pass for all the state championships for every sport. So like that works for each one. Right. So I have one with the OSU newspaper, not JRC Media.
Okay.
So if I'm going to a state tournament, I need to be doing it not for my personal, but for the newspaper, just out of respect. And
sure. It's an ethical thing.
Yeah. And so I showed up to the Heritage Hall game, their first round matchup, and they have kids on there that have looks from OSU. So I was there doing that. And
it's all good.
So, yeah.
Got a vision coming through. Yeah.
But so I was doing that, and shoot, I just lost track of what I was saying.
No, man, it happens like that.
Yeah.
We got a whole lot going on.
Yeah, so I was there covering two guys on Heritage Hall that are getting recruited, getting attention by OSU, and that's why I was there.
That pretty much got you there.
And so, I was there and shooting that, and I filmed. They let me on the court for that because I had my pass and everything. And then the next, after the game, I hadn't checked my phone or anything. I was just working, and I get out of the game, and there's a tweet from somebody I don't know. I don't exactly remember.
Right.
I just kind of looked at it and was like, oh, come on, we don't need to stir stuff up. But
right.
Because Hoop Addicts doesn't get the floor access because according to OSSAA's rules, you have to work for a media outlet, and they don't consider Hoop Addicts a media outlet, which I want to say how I really feel, and I really want to say.
I got you, man. You know what I mean? Tread lightly if you need to.
But it's like the OSSA, that's their rule. The rule sucks, but since it's the rule, it's not like OSSA is going out. They're just stuck in 1990 with their rules. OSSA needs to update their rules. Hoop Addicts should be on the floor. They think that they're making money off of it. They're not. They're just showcasing high school talent. And I mean, I don't think I'll ever get credentials from the OSSA again.
Right.
Outside of if I work for a real media group, just because I'm not a media outlet.
Right.
I just got my LLC, so that just happened yesterday.
Yeah,
so
it's in its infancy right now.
Yeah.
For you.
But I'm not officially official, I guess.
I got you.
And so I totally understand that, and I know they have that view, or the OSSA does, on they want to limit it to news channels and newspapers. And
Anything
since I work for a newspaper, that's why I was there. But I showed up to the next game the next day for Heritage Hall versus Webster, and they said, hey, we saw this tweet, and you cheated your way in, and you're not allowed to be on the court. And I was like, no, whoa. I was there covering recruiting for Oklahoma State. I did not cheat my way on the floor. And they're like, well, this tweet says you do. And I'm like, this tweet has no likes. Nobody agrees with it. And literally everybody said that they were wrong.
Come on, man.
So I just go and move up. They make me go sit in the stands and shoot from the stands. So I get up there, and Craig from Hoop Addicts texts me, and he's like, oh, you're up here now. And I was like, that's what it is, man. And Johnny was on the court, and I don't even know, they didn't tell him to leave. So everything is just so mixed up. And I think there's just a confusion with the rules. And I mean, it's funny. And they'll figure it out. They're going to realize that they're missing out on the exposure Hoop Addicts can give them, and that I can give them, and that all the media people could give them. It's not about us for this. It's about showcasing how good Oklahoma basketball is. And it's never been talked about. Oklahoma basketball wasn't talked about till Griffin won Peach Jam 2 summers ago.
Yeah.
It had been talked about, Trey was on Ball is Life, or Trey Young, and that was whenever it kind of started to blow up. But no, and I don't think the OSSA expected to have as much media wanting to do that. But
basketball has certainly never been highlighted in this state like it is now.
Now is the peak of it. This year, it's going to be good for a couple more years. I don't know how good the like 8th graders were this year, whatever that class that's coming up. But no, it's definitely a good. I'm just glad that Oklahoma's growing like that.
We got some ballers coming out of this city, or coming out of this state rather.
Yeah.
Well, man, listen, I've enjoyed the hell out of this. Very insightful young man, dude. I don't want to say I'm proud of you. That would indicate I got something to do with where you're at. But it is very refreshing to me to see an 18-year-old getting ready to be 19 when?
Yeah, April 12th.
April 12th. So you got a little less than a month. You're gonna be 19 years old, and you're stepping in a way that a lot of people twice your age still aren't able to tap into. So, man, I respect that. I'm a fan now. I've been watching from a distance, and I'm gonna keep watching, and we're gonna hook up later on down the line. What do you say?
Sure. Yeah.
Salute to you, my man.
Thank you.